Welcome to ES Ascension News, Consciousness Corridor. When sets of eclipses occur, the cosmic forces of alchemy alter frequency current and manifest new potentials in creation for shifting one's consciousness in either direction of polarity. Thus, this tetrad of lunar eclipses alter the magnetic field and magnify the Galactic Zodiac influence, the alchemical principle of the current constellation transmission into the planetary grid. Consequently, this alters the life force current that human consciousness takes on in order to come into manifestation on the planet. The recent altered frequency shifts impact in the core building blocks of life and is running deep throughout our cellular biology. This frequency transmission is what changes instruction sets in the DNA messaging made to the cell. Cells use DNA for their long-term information storage, and this long-term cellular record is being newly updated in the planet. Therefore, this stimulates the body, mind, and emotions into expressing different patterns and perceptions. We are undergoing deep change in the mitochondria of the cell, which also directly affect the body's metabolic and hormonal pathways. Currently, our lower 3 energy centers are being rapidly reconfigured, with the main focal point being at the perineum, which is the root of our foundation. This highlights Kundalini awakening, as well as unresolved root chakra issues, such as survival, safety, and security issues, father-mother archetypes, biological family issues, issues around sex, identity, and the quality of thought forms running in the hard drive of the third-dimensional mental body. This shifts sensations in our deep ego identity, its core programming, and may feel disorienting. The level of disorientation will be felt relative to our stages of ego detachment as our foundation connects with the latest architecture that now runs in both vertical and horizontal lines into the planetary grid. This recent light body upgrade comes with increased fire element intensity and harried pace to meet the next phase of the bifurcation cycle. This may give a feeling of urgency, crisis, or alarm going off in our cells. Crystal Star teams have recently built sections of architecture for the mental principle of the Holy Father's universal law, which is a structure that governs the mind. This mental principle is a law of consciousness from a higher source code being made available to the planetary body. This allows the consciousness manifestation of God's law through its mental principle to return to the collective consciousness and become manifest in this world of matter. Thus, we must elevate beyond root fears and survival consciousness and clear away toxic attachment. As these electromagnetic forces exert pressurized influence upon our consciousness, the pairs of opposite male and female principle within our physical body amplify tremendously. This may be very uncomfortable, not only physically, but we may feel a sense of urgency for energetic housekeeping. We are being forced to clean up our house, clean up our body, clean up our thoughts, and clean up our relationships. We have to see the root of all things and what foundation they are built upon. What we are unable to purify and strengthen in all areas of our life will be corrected, cleaned up, and cut away. The result of how we synthesize all these polarities into energetic balance is the law of strength made upon our core foundation. And the strength of our core foundation in this current cycle is what determines the laws, principles, and consciousness corridor of our next incarnation or identity. Those of us that have chosen the ascension pathway may have recently felt the urgency along with waves of grief and sadness. There are consequences from these evolutionary shifts upon humanity in this next phase. This event has delineated lines with certain parameters in the planetary field that cannot be crossed for others if they are unwilling to choose love or unwilling to change. This current bifurcation is a choice point made in the collective consciousness field of one's personal spiritual energetic alignment and commitment. This choice point represents the future direction one is taking and moving towards as a consciousness corridor or future exiting point during the ascension cycle. Condensing mental belief systems. As the combined polarities merge with the forces of chaos on the earth, it can either radically expand one's consciousness or radically digress one's consciousness. Digression is defined without judging one's personal choice, yet noting the consequence of choosing spiritually abusive behavior which completely eliminates the expansion of one's consciousness. When the quality of the light body severely degrades along with consciousness, finally it decays upon itself with lack of love and lack of care. Like a house that becomes filled with termites over time from the lack of maintenance, attention, and care, it starts to rot from the inside, and the structure decays and collapses. Thus, we will observe patterns in the collective consciousness, condensing mental beliefs, which form into a variety of exclusive group consciousness reality bubbles. These many reality bubbles can be based upon philosophies of ego religion, government, nations, science, medical, cultural, and business, anything that shapes internal motivation into belief systems that are then generated into the public. Generally, it is collective belief systems which slant the group's perception into shared confirmation bias to rally a cause or continue to enforce belief systems. In our ascension and spiritual communities, this is an area to be hyper-vigilant to avoid generating negative ego confirmation bias. Confirmation bias is the way that the negative alien agenda promotes media to influence beliefs in the public and so that they can generate chaos and mass hysteria around half-truths or deceptions. The negative ego confirmation bias in group reality bubbles are quick to say what is right and what is wrong, and to claim themselves as the rightful authority over others. These extremely rigid beliefs easily erupt into destructive power conflicts, volcanic emotional fury, which fuels all the houses of ego. Forgiveness, acceptance, and compassionate understanding of how others feel are key themes. Through the ascending or descending realities, all of these polarities must coalesce into a group consciousness based on the group choice point, which further condense into a measurable and narrower broadband of fundamental frequency. Either the group consciousness reality bubble resonates with higher heart-based motivation and beliefs of love, peace, and unity, or project the negative ego thought forms of hatred, war, and separation. Routing of group consciousness. These many groups of people on the earth must be directed into another consciousness pathway or future timeline based upon their consciousness hierarchical level in the frequency fields. The bifurcation is the framework for the consciousness corridors being outlined as the indication for the future direction of the individual and where its group consciousness frequency will evolve in the next cycle. The group consciousness coalesce into frequency hubs which act as reality bubbles, which synchronize into holographic frequency containers on the Earth grid. What is very important to understand is that these violent human groups, such as terrorist groups, work within a very small range of low fundamental frequency. These groups are attuned to the first, second, and third dimensional layers, or chakras, the areas of the negative ego mind control influence of the negative alien agenda. One must attune their consciousness awareness to a higher frequency than negative ego. Meditation and the focus upon one's heart and spirit is the frequency that protects, supports, and informs where one needs to pay attention now. This attention placed on the inner spirit, spiritual consciousness, meditation, inner stillness, and the 12th dimensional shielding will protect our consciousness and body in ways we yet do not comprehend. There is nothing on the earth that is safer than being in one's own 12th dimensional shield and activated light body. These collective realities provide the framework of belief systems of which these groups will learn to rehabilitate their thought forms without mind control and learn higher principles of service which form the evolutionary format for learning in the next lifetime or incarnation. Many of them will amplify their negative ego belief systems into fanaticism, and they will start to leave this earth through death crisis of the body. Over the next few years, the tragic nature of death of the body may be very hard to observe in the masses. It is a rough time for many confused people of the earth. However, there are levels of consciousness that cannot stay upon the earth now and must begin the route for transit. They will take this belief system, such as religious belief, science, or inner violence, with them in the next life. And their reality will be a holographic mirror to their matched group consciousness frequency. Essentially, the current phase of the bifurcation in time is sorting group consciousness that exist between the frequency levels of negative ego with predator polarities, or the vandal groups, human ego thought forms polarized in service to self, soul in the astral plane willing to learn service to others, and the monadic plane and higher consciousness, which serves the cosmic sovereign law of one completely. Collecting holographic records. The result of collecting vibrational data throughout the universal timelines of holographic record is designed to section and reroute collective consciousness that has been accumulating in group reality bubbles, frequency hubs, and negative future timelines. Thus, there has been a gathering period of holographic data, record in the collective consciousness field of the Earth since 2012, to feed back into the trans-time continuum. Many of us have been doing this data collection for providing the framework for the ascending consciousness pathways during sleep state. The bifurcation amplifies polarities of positive and negative forces considerably, and the results of the amplification is measured in weighted frequency average. This measurement is what directs the earthly kingdom and all of her inhabitants to the frequency space, the dimensional law that is most aligned for that individual to continue evolution and spiritual development as a part of its group consciousness frequency. Service to others is law. Recent planet gridwork events and frequency shifts have revealed a deeper purpose in the manifestation of the structure upon the earth, which is now capable to hold the mind principle of a particular universal law. Each of the dimensions throughout the universal time matrix have a mind principle, which acts as the governor to the expression of its group consciousness laws. The planetary mind, or logos of Earth, was invaded in order to control the planetary mind, the collective race mind, and therefore control the beliefs and individual minds of the humans on this Earth. In the process of hijacking the planetary mind, they hijacked the dimensional laws which are intrinsic to the architecture of the planet, which governs biological consciousness growth. They built alien machinery to download predator mind archetypes. For more information, see the archontic deception behavior in our Ascension Glossary. As well, they inserted false holographic records, such as patriarchal religious programming and crucifixion implants. As a result, the human race was recycled through false identity systems which severely digressed human consciousness and thus have spiritually suppressed, oppressed, and enslaved humans since the Luciferian rebellion. In the process of repairing the architecture for the planetary logos, and specifically the issues of false ascension matrix corruption existing in the astral plane, we have recently received successful news. Through the crystal star guardians, ongoing corrections are made to repair ley line networks that run a variety of alien software through the planetary logos and astral plane. As a result of this horizontal repair and recent magnetic shifts, service to others is now the law of consciousness expression on the earth. This means all humans have a right to exist, live, and evolve without fear or under the threat of death, killing, or satanic ritual abuse, independent of previous karmic histories. Those that deny others their human rights to exist without threat to harm, or commit killing or sacrifices, will be forfeited their human incarnation rights to choose in life or choose in death. Blood sacrifice is a soul-binding technique of which must be rehabilitated. This law on the earth protects specifically heart-based, loving people, the Christos races, and those who have directly asked and committed to learn how to rehabilitate their consciousness through learning the practices of the law of one. This is essentially wanting to live in peace and harmony on the earth. To rehabilitate the earth consciousness from the negative ego mind control that the archons of the negative alien agenda have installed in the global brain, much of humanity is moving to another planet to practice service to others. Service to others and group consciousness is a soul matrix frequency and dimensional law of the soul's mental principle. Many will have the opportunity to be re-educated in these humanitarian values which are in governance of this dimension and will be restored in higher dimensions. In order to eventually evolve one's consciousness into the diamond sun body of Christos and achieve full sovereignty and liberation, one must master the dimensional laws of service to others and mastering love as a force. Intermediaries are removed, and the dimensional force acts as the educator of the law. The Christos starseed and indigo races may feel profound sadness now that some of our human family will not be able to adapt to the new law and will exit this dimension. At the time of their death, they will move onto another planet to continue the appropriate level of spiritual expansion or rehabilitation. We were hoping they could stay on the earth and do this while in their physical body. However, most at the monadic plane and beyond will be able to visit their human families at their assigned location, while the reverse will not be possible. We are at the crossroads of our spiritual journey, of which we are now governed completely by the new dimensional law. For most, this designation will be made clear, and soul growth will resume for humans after death of their body. However, it is important to know that the outcome for most beings of this earth is eventually a joyful one, where spiritual ascension and expanding consciousness will become a manifested reality for the masses to be educated to learn service to others as a law of God. Reclaiming Mother's creation seed. Currently, many of us may be enduring Kundalini symptoms which impact deep subatomic and cellular shifts instructed through the mitochondrial DNA, which further transform and change our metabolism and its hormonal pathways. The amount of light frequency quotient held by the cell and the tissues of the body is directly related to the degree of mitochondrial function and results in the stages of embodiment of the corrected Holy Mother principle. With the recent lunar eclipse, the cosmic waters in the astral plane undergo reconfiguration with the new law to extract the Dark Mother alien architecture and reclaim the Divine Mother creation seed. For some women, there is a cycle of death and then regeneration that may be experienced in the female reproductive organs at any biological age. The dark or reversal mother principle was replicated and generated from the negative alien agenda or archons, harvesting lunar, magnetic, and constellation forces which enforce patriarchal domination, mind control on Earth. The lunar forces have influenced the magnetic field to reverse the Holy Mother, obliterate her feminine principle, and commandeer her womb of reproduction on the earth for many generations. The reversal mother architecture is a complex etheric structure which was placed in the subatomic layers and lower astral fields, which also manifest itself in material creation as hierarchies of satanic forces. Within these astral pockets of etheric gas substance, the negative alien agenda cloned or replicated creation seeds, like ovum or eggs, that are inherently a part of the consciousness body of the Holy Mother. The ovum creation codes that make up her body are called the Cathar. During the ascension cycle, awakened indigo females are reclaiming the universal Holy Mother's creation seed for the earth. This is the restoration of the Cathar body, as this is recorded in the original spark of mitochondrial DNA. The current phase of Galactic Zodiac laws are at their 6th stage of alchemy, which are designed to purify and distill the inner spirit. The Virgo principle relates deeply to the Mother Earth, the earth body elemental forces, and this highlights the return of Holy Mother's mitochondrial DNA record to the earth. With the presence of Mother shifting, many of us may feel more deeply our motherly and reproductive connections. We may sense the connection between our bodies and into the earth kingdom, the earthly dirt, earth crust, earth rock, her minerals and crystals. The earth is communicating to us in new ways if we listen. Consciousness purification is the alchemical process of which the earthly density of carbon slag is exposed to tremendous heat and fire. The intense pressure between the polarities of forces distill the purity of the diamond crystalline heart. Mother's aqua portal tunnel vortex. The Cosmic Mother principle returns energetic balance into the earth body, reclaiming the body elemental through her principles of anabolism and catabolism, forces of creation and destruction which arise out from the core of the infinite creatrix. Kabbalists refer to this as the Ein Sof, the mother principle as the conflagration of plasma, gases, ether rising out from the rings of chaos, reaching into the unmanifest layers. Cosmic Mother thus allows the creation of more and more complex structures that expand consciousness through her anabolic process. At the same time, there is another mechanism to reclaim unused or recycle dead resources like miasma and waste. If a structure is not referenced by the consciousness laws of any other structure, its form is digested and recycled. Through the Mother's aqua portal tunnel vortex, where we send forms, structures, and entities back to Cosmic Mother, the form is neutralized, and it is free to follow the laws of its own nature. Cosmic Mother spirals her tunnel vortex arcing back towards the center of the creatrix field, returning to the center point of all union, and unwinds back into the expanding fields of the unmanifest. The outer rings of the unmanifest fields are the sections of the abyss. These outer spaces are which form the abyss of unidentity or unbeing. Sections of the Luciferian abyss, of which ego or wasteful form is eventually digested and absorbed. Hence it is the primordial death of the ego that most all humans fear as the metaphor for the complete annihilation of the self. Cosmic Mother's function represents the creation, destruction, and fields of all potential within the unmanifest, all simultaneously. The dead zones outside her unmanifest field are the space of abyss. When we heal our consciousness body of these dead zones and fill them up with eternal living light, we may have awakening experiences where we cross the abyss and its shadow to heal our fears and separation with God. The abyss of separation relates to satanic force. The abyss of knowledge relates to Luciferian force, and the abyss of unbeing or the unbecoming relates to ego death. Discovering the core in relationship. This time greatly impacts the macrocosm to microcosm reflection of our relationship to our true God parents, and distinguishing the difference between the false parent and the holy parent. This will pressure us to transform our relationship foundation to redefine its core, especially in marriages, unions, and living together. For this reason, those in marriages or unions may have a harrowing time finding reconciliation and compassionate ways to resolve any relationship issue, as it must evolve to a higher spiritual purpose or complete its cycle. Every relationship we have is designed for spiritual development, especially now at the time of ascension. Humanity is extremely impacted by the changes that have occurred to the male-female dynamic as it connects to our personal growth. Most people are unaware that many relationships on planet today are directly attracted by the spirit self in order to resolve past ancestral family patterns, clear blockages, and integrate forces of polarity. All relationships are designed for personal growth and consciousness expansion. Without evolutionary context towards relationships, one is left confused and potentially manipulated by unresolved personal pain. When we can recognize the fear program driving the core foundation in our relationships, we can refuse its control over our personal sovereignty as eternal soul beings. To address the fear is to make sure we keep our heart open for unconditional loving kindness, acting in service to the other, yet maintaining our boundaries for self-love and self-respect. Our goal is to move beyond old, painful patterns that have defined our relationships in past or present. First, this is an important time to identify and address the core reasons and beliefs that attracted your current relationship partner or previous relationships. We want to clear the core foundation of relationship attachments or beliefs that have been based on lower root chakra needs, such as survival, sex, money, glamour, mommy or daddy issues, which are the false parent, fantasy delusions, or material convenience. Once we can see where we have projected our issues on our relationships, our partner, or lack thereof, then we must accept responsibility and seek to change our behavior in the relationship connections immediately. To evolve relationships and achieve spiritually healthy, loving, and deeply intimate connection, one must be willing to look honestly at one's personal capacity to be unconditionally loving, forgiving, and to genuinely be of service to your partner, even if it's inconvenient. One can address the defining foundation of relationships and note where fear, denial, or pain has shut your heart down. Then make changes consciously to not let fear or pain close your heart when communicating or facing issues. What prevents relationships from evolving is lack of transparency and generally communication blocks formed from deep fears of intimacy or fears of vulnerability. Deep fears of intimacy are what completely shut down the emotional capability to experience deeper forms of loving intimacy and connection in every kind of relationship. Until we heal fears of intimacy and vulnerability, and we're willing to learn how to communicate loving kindness intimately with our partner while acting transparently, we will not experience deep and intimate bonds. We must rid ourselves of all judgment, facade, and manipulation in the scope of relationships and intimate relating. Take steps to clear and heal your emotional state when you recognize inner pain or inner violence directed towards relationships, yourself, or partner. Inquire on the nature and source of the pain, fear, or anger. It is this unresolved pain and fear that blocks hearts from deeply connecting. Even if we realize our relationship is complete, we can evolve the relationship to higher expression of mutual love and acceptance. This attracts the easiest transition to elevate ourselves to the correct frequency match. Continue to develop skill sets to clear relationship-based pain and fear and improve communication skills and lifestyle habits that support intimate sharing with your partner. However, the possibility of consciously creating our relationships into bonds of loving kindness starts with us and our own personal level of emotional availability and capacity to be intimate and access deep feelings. We must learn accurate assessment, trustworthiness, to not project fantasies and delusions on prospective or current relationships, which generally end in sexual misery and disastrous consequences to our children and families. Making some deep inquiry on our relationship patterns at this time may be helpful to gain deeper clarity. Please refer to the newsletter for the various questions to be used for emotional catharsis and emotional healing and connecting deeply to our relationship patterning. In having greater clarity of what has defined one's relationships that have previously not been based on loving kindness, service, and spiritual development, then we can clarify new ways to affirm our dedication to our spiritual principles. When we dedicate the practice of the law of one to our relationships or to ourselves, we shift current relationships and attract the aligned spiritual mate for us at this time. Some basic guidelines for service to others and mastering love as keynotes in relationships are also provided in the newsletter. These are new relationship templates being created on this planet, and they take an advanced skill set in clearing negative ego and clearing pain body before this can be effortlessly experienced and achieved. It is important to realize this kind of clarity and this kind of bond in a loving relationship can be experienced, and honor the relationships that we have had in our lifetime. Every relationship is an opportunity to gain self-energetic mastery and self-knowledge, and is an important stepping stone to spiritual consciousness development that leads to inner energetic balance and then outer sacred union. Embrace these changes if they occur, as they are divine interventions to protect your heart and soul to unite with your true spiritual purpose. This action is sourced in spiritual freedom and love. The Ascension Timeline for Consciousness Corridor. The time has come where the consciousness bifurcation on planet Earth has necessitated additional evolutionary framework for servicing the wide spectrum of human consciousness through the founder, guardian, and crystal star planetary hosting. Crystal star hosting means the reclamation of the universal laws and principles which are the essential nature of the cosmic Christ consciousness, which is built upon the 12-strand DNA silicate matrix design. To rebuild the architecture of the diamond sun body upon this earth and reassemble the holographic template of Christ Sophia recorded throughout the past, present, and future Earth timelines. The founder guardians state the guidelines of the cosmic law evolution edict. Again, please refer to our newsletter for this description of each consciousness corridor which is being given through the Ascension timeline during this particular cycle. Closing thoughts. We must remember that the majority of the negative ego inherent in the collective consciousness that is observed in the human race on the earth today is the product of negative alien interference through mind control. Systematically, this alien architecture and its enslavement functions that impair the mind principle and impair the consciousness is being removed, repaired, and rehabilitated. Yet, many generations of people have become interdependent on these alien structures of mind control, believing that these false edifices define who they are. Many humans have inherited dysfunctional belief systems and behaviors through their biological families and cultural programming, which are deeply based in fear and hate. This programming will evolve to conclusion through the die-off process in the longer term. We know that in the death process, this may be transformed into something fertile, where new consciousness growth can take place. Their life is renewed. However, what we are observing as the incredible violence today is the process of death transition in the old regime, the death of the negative ego. If we use the negative ego to perceive reality, we suffer greatly. And so the great work is to let it all go. We must love and accept ourselves for who we are now, and not who we think we should be. This is a significant progression in the ascension timeline for planet Earth, and is very complex as it relates to transforming everything we have ever known as an earthling. Be in this world and not of it. Take care of your body. Practice loving kindness, which are Christic spiritual principles in your life, and know you are protected and safe in this love. Have no fear. Many will be fooled by what is transpiring as if the darkness is advancing its control over the world. That which was always hidden must surface to be revealed for purging and exit. Humanity will perceive these signs in the material world through their own level of developed spiritual consciousness. In the large majority, this is limited to the negative ego rhetoric. Keep patience and persevere in collecting the pearls of truth on your spiritual journey, and never let your gaze sway from the force of love that is God. Please only take what is useful for your spiritual growth and discard the rest. And thank you for your courage and bravery to be a true seeker. I am the cosmic sovereign law made manifest, for I am God, sovereign free. Until next, stay in the luminosity of your avatar Christ Sophia heart path, and please be kind to yourself and each other. With a loving heart, signing off for now.